Well, we can call the meeting to order. I'll stand in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Approval of agenda. Additions or deletions? If not, we'll stand as presented. And approval of the minutes, same way. Any corrections?
I'm good to it.
All right, stand as presented. Review and approve bills. July 25th, regular, $157,826.21. Total, $157,862.
Well, she must
Why
have
does one?
because she had a typo.
Oh.
It looks like she switched the two numbers, and I
Alright.
don't know why it was. She
I thought it was me.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Actually, the
Ask
first
any
one.
question. Why don't we go to Hudson Auto Center? And we have all the auto stores in town.
They-
Way closer.
They might have that piece
There's some parts that
Yeah.
just aren't available.
in stock.
Or they're not in stock here, but they're in stock there, we can, so, for the most part, I think they do try to, especially performance, they get.
It seems to me to make more sense to shop at Hillsdale than Hudson.
In this day and age, Joe, you gotta get parts wherever you can.
Yeah, we can make a phone call and have a part here from just about
And they
anywhere.
deliver from Hudson,
Right.
they bring it here to us.
You know, so with performance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I move that we pay the bills dated July 25th, $157,826.21.
Second.
Any more discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Sorry, that one too many, there we go. I'm used to having two when we do this.
Guess I'll sign for vice chairman. I just got promoted. This one, I'm just gonna put my initials on there, I guess.
I forgot here it was going to that meeting. That all? Payroll dated July 18th for $137,021.90.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any more discussion or any discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
I have a copy after they present it, but say you have one.
If you have someone to follow along with, if you can get one.
I can go get one. That's fine.
You have one.
And I'll give you different ones.
Actually, I left mine at home, but
Treasurer's report.
I'll submit it as a budget amendment
Beginning cash and investment balance is $2,528,447.17. Total receipts of $103,290.94. Total disbursements is $294,848.11. Bonds and escrow are $10,250. CD reserve for 2 trucks is $651,282.82. Ending available fund balance is $1,675,457.18. And the outstanding accounts payable is negative $3,133.95.
Any questions? Stand up, present. Thank you. Public comment. Who wants to go first? Away.
I will.
Sure.
My name's Kelly Rollins. I'm from Reading, and I want to address the speed limit on Bankers Road between South Allen and Hemlock. I've also got a piece of property there with a driveway that's partially blind, but the speed limit is 55 miles an hour until you're just past Long Lake Road. It's coming over a hill. It's absolutely blind from the bottom. There's been plenty of accidents there, and I'm worried that there's going to be more. I think that it should be, the speed limit doesn't drop to 45 until right after Long Lake Road. There's no reason that people should be driving 55 miles an hour over that blind, coming to that blind intersection. So I would like to have the speed limit lowered to at least 45 miles an hour, and then I think even 35 miles an hour through Hemlock Road, because there's multiple driveways, multiple streets that come in there. There's 2 retail establishments there and curbs. There's no reason that people should be driving 45 miles an hour through that area.
Can you address that, Mark? What we would need to do?
The state police have to do that.
Well, the state police set the speed limits based on their studies and everything. I will tell you that normally they're not gonna drop the speed limit like that unless it meets the requirements of so many driveways within a certain amount of time or period, which normally comes into a subdivision at that point. And they're not gonna abnormally lower the speed limit, because then that's given, like, the motoring public doesn't expect that, and so it's setting up like a speed trap. And so they don't want an area where all of a sudden the cop can just sit there and write people tickets just because they're going faster than what that was posted, when it really shouldn't be posted that way.
They could write tickets out there all day long right now.
State law
Cars are
set
coming over that hill at 65 miles an hour.
State law set what the speed limits are, and that's gonna be what they call a prima facie road, which is 55, just like the prima facie for a subdivision is 25. Other than that, it takes a traffic control order from the state police to change anything like that, and we can look into it, but I can tell you that
So
rarely if ever been done.
what would be his next step? To go to the state police or to let us do it?
Let us do it.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be,
All I can say is
I'm just asking.
there's nothing there other than a hill, that if there's a driveway there, probably the driveway shouldn't have been put there, or if it was even permitted, it probably says, we don't suggest that it gets put there. So,
Yeah, the driveway was there when I bought the property. So.
okay, but doesn't mean that it should have been there to begin with.
Yeah, well,
There should be 550 feet, if it's 55 mile an hour road, there should be 550 feet of clear vision to that driveway, to where we would have approved that driveway to be there.
Okay, well, the intersection of Long Lake Road and the top of the hill is not even 550 feet, and it's still 55 miles an hour.
And it should be, that's what the road speed limit is for the road, not necessarily the things that come onto it.
Got it.
And so, we can submit it, but I can just tell you off of
Yeah,
experience.
whatever you can do.
All right.
That being said.
I would like to get with you maybe after this, or to get specifics
Sure.
from you.
Do you want me to call you?
Yes, if you want to actually call in, and I don't know if you want to make a service request now. Don't do a service request for that, but call in, and so we can get all your information, and I can.
Sure. Your name?
Bob Griffiths. And if you call 437-4458,
That's it.
and my extension is number 7. If I'm not there to answer, it'll go to voicemail, and I get it on my email too, so then
Sure. Okay,
we
sounds
can
good.
hook up.
Thank you.
Question, if that's a hill and that's a blind driveway, and you think they're going 65 miles an hour, is that a phone call to the sheriff's department for them
Yes,
to watch
and
that?
for the normal speeding, that is a law enforcement issue, it's not a road issue, so that should go to, like, the sheriff's department to say, hey, we got a lot of people, a lot of times they'll set a car there, you know? Not always, and only intermittently, but that is a law enforcement issue.
I got it.
That's a problem throughout the county.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Throughout the state.
But again, if you bring it to their attention because of the hill and the blind driveway, maybe they would, come out there and police it a little bit to bring that at least down to 55 mile an hour.
Is there any certain times, or is it just
No,
always?
it's it's just when I observe it, which is pretty much every day.
What is your address?
It's 9067 Kellogg.
I know we had sitting on the corner of Millie.
That
can
being
take a
said,
look.
That's where the property.
We had,
It's
we had a
fine.
request,
My property is
More
the
than
farm
hill.
thing I have back in there.
Okay.
we had a request from Pittsburgh to, this has been a few years back, to adjust the speed limit. It was 35 mile an hour coming in, and they wanted it lowered to 25. So they did a study, state police and everything. They ended up raising it to 45. That 80 percentile, whatever the average 80 percentile is, if you're driving 65 mile an hour and 80% of the people are, on that road, they'd never raise it more than 55, but it could be raised.
Okay.
So I kind of get nervous about what you ask for. Out there, I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's not gonna affect
They're
that,
not gonna
you can't
change
go
it.
higher, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
I'll just make a small comment on Banker Road, and the brush out there is pretty bad. If you look at like Long Lake, you come to Banker, you gotta get way out there before you can look south. And I'm just making the comment, your brush is really overgrown.
Moisture this year.
Lot. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, since we're talking about speed limits, what about yellow light duration? Sometimes I'm cruising along, just doing the speed limit, and here comes yellow light, and it's lock the brakes up. You're about going through the windshield before it turns red on some of these lights around here. I don't think you're long enough. But who would I talk to? State police again on that?
Actually, I believe the city controls all the lights.
But the length of the yellow light, that's gonna be a state issue.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Last
set.
I knew, General Motors did a study back in the early 50s on that, and they determined that they haven't changed from what their recommendation was.
Well, on the state road, at the end of.
A lot of times I gotta be careful, because sometimes my load will shift in the back of the Yukon, as I'm coming up, even though it's green, I'll slow down a little bit in case it turns yellow.
I will say, I watch the crosswalk signs as I'm coming, because the crosswalks will give you how many seconds. So I have started using that as an indicator when I'm,
So you know what I'm talking about.
oh, I know what
Yellow
you're
line.
talking about. My problem, for me personally driving, it's up M60, that at Spring Arbor Road, it's like, okay, do I go or do I stop?
Yeah, a lot of times I've been on highways where they have a warning out front or down the road, hey, you're gonna have a red light ahead, and start slowing down. All right, well, thank you.
No, anything? Can we do it?
Make sure she can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Oh, grab the remote.
I'll give you a call.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Now, I gotta get the remote. Oh, there it is. It might be super loud. Can you try talking again?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's not loud enough.
Oh, maybe louder. One more time.
How about now?
You're getting better.
One more time.
How about now?
Yay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yay, okay. So can everybody see me then?
Yeah, we got you on a big TV.
Okay,
A
alright,
bigger TV.
sounds good. I will plan on then sharing my screen here. Alright, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Alright, sounds good. So, hello everyone. My name is Corinne Day, for those who don't know me. I was the senior manager on your audit this year, and I've worked on the Road Commission's audit for several years now, so I'm pretty familiar with your operations. I'm just gonna quickly walk you through the financial statements, and feel free to stop me at any point if you guys have any questions. So I'm going to start here at the independent auditor's report. This is actually the only portion of the report that is ours as the auditors. The rest is the responsibility of management, and we actually just assist with the preparation of the financial statements. So I'm going to point you here to the second paragraph, and you'll see here that we issued an unmodified or clean opinion, which is obviously what you guys are looking for, so very good. And then we'll scroll down. Can everybody see this pretty well there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just want to make sure before I walk away without you guys being able to see. So this is the management's discussion analysis. This gives you a high-level overview of all the different activities and explains the fluctuations that occurred during the year. So if you guys read anything, make sure you look at the management's discussion analysis. I'm going to then just scroll down to the actual numbers so we can look at them together. All right, so then here we have the statement of net position, and it also shows on the same page your general fund results. So we'll look at the fund first. You'll see here at the bottom that your total fund balance for the year was $5.88 million. It was broken down with a non-spendable portion of $1,459,859, and that's non-spendable for the inventory balances that you have on your books. And then we also have a restricted portion, which is specifically for the primary roads, which when you look at your Act 51, that's the actual primary road fund balance, the way it's broken down there. And that was approximately $5.1 million, and that left an unassigned deficit of $672,000 there. And then you also have your statement of net position, which, remember, the statement of net position is actually where we capture the capital asset, long-term debt, and net pension liability amounts, and that ended with a total net position of $36.4 million. And then I'm going to skip directly to your budget to actual statement, where we'll actually look at the fund in general. You'll see that the total change for the year was a decrease in fund balance of $113,309, and that was actually a better decrease than you had projected in your initial fund balance. And then here you can also see the different fluctuations that occurred between the categories, between the final budget to actual. And then honestly, there's not much. Here we can go down to page 42. Yeah, I can get there. And this is going to show you your breakout. This aligns exactly with the Act 51 that you guys review and approve every year. So you'll see where, like I mentioned, this is the portion that's restricted fund balance, and within the general fund is this $5,093,000 amount right there. Honestly, there were not many changes this year within the financial statements. Everything should look pretty similar to last year. We didn't have any findings, recommendations, comments. Everything was very clean. Katie was great to work with, so very good job on your audit this year for sure. Are there questions, anywhere you want me to focus on or anything like that?
I have a question on the net pension liability.
Sure.
I know on 34 and 35 it gives us our percentage funded over 10 years.
Yep.
I was kind of surprised based on what the market has done in 2023 that 2023 didn't do better than 2022. Can you address why we went from 65% funded and we to 69% funded? So that's more funding, but I kind of expected it to be better than that based on what the market had done in 2023.
Yeah, I mean, that is reflected right here. You'll see you have the net investment income versus the loss that you showed in prior years. So that definitely was reflected. And as you know, this is kind of based on actuary as well. So you'll see last year we had a positive change in assumptions. There were no changes in the current year. And then your covered payroll also decreased a little bit this year. But honestly, most of it is really due to the different assumptions and how they flow through to the current year from prior year.
All right, and then my other question is on page
Yeah.
36, I see that our contribution as a percentage of our payroll is at 26%. I know that the
Yes.
management contributes 9.9% and the others contribute 5.3%. In our discussions when we adopted the Act, 88, I was told the county only contributes 3.3% of payroll to the pension plan. So can anybody explain to me?
I'll have to grab all my stuff, I don't know off the top of my head. I have to do that.
Because if I look at this, we contribute between 16% and 21%, not 3.3%. So I guess I would like that followed up on.
Okay. Katie, do you want to look into that, or maybe we can work together and get a response?
We can possibly work together, I can give you a call after this.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I would have to look into that a little closer to see how that number is pulling through, that sort of thing, so.
I have another question. In one of the footnotes, it was discussed that we're gonna do a deficit reduction plan, and I assume that's for the $672,000 of unassigned fund balance.
Correct.
So my understanding is that's kind of a plug number between what you figure out the restricted for primary road fund balance is. So I guess how critical is this? Are we not managing our funds correctly? And is this a bigger negative position than it was the prior year?
Last year it was positive, I believe. Oh, actually, I would have to double check on that. But I will tell you that I had a similar situation at another road commission. They directly reached out to the state on this situation. And they said, obviously, as long as your total fund balance for the year is positive, that they're not super concerned about the situation. But one thing that they did recommend is possibly looking at utilizing your primary road and local road funds for some of the capital outlay expenses, and that would then obviously reduce your amount that's restricted for primary roads, and then in turn increase your unassigned amount that you have sitting there. So that is one possible way that, especially for next year, that we could look at potentially decreasing that deficit that's sitting there.
So if I hear you right, we don't do any of our capital purchases out of our primary or local road funds?
Yes, I believe as of right now, here we can double check, but I believe it's all rolling through your county road fund.
Okay, so.
Yeah, you'll see all the capital outlays running through county roads here.
Okay. And what you're saying is some of that could go through the primary road?
Correct, that's what the state recommended, so, yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that was kind of my question.
Anybody else? Nothing? I guess they got it.
All right. Well, if anybody thinks of anything, Katie has my contact information. Happy to answer any further questions via email, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much for your time.
All right.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Yes, I'll touch base with you later too.
Sounds good. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
Bye.
Just throw it out there real quick. All right.
Manager's comment.
Wait, I believe we need a motion to accept the audit
Okay.
report.
So move.
Support.
Any discussion?
I do have one discussion, and she didn't, and I guess we should have touched on this. As part of the audit, she would have looked at internal controls, and were there any reported
There was,
issues?
no,
They said that there wasn't.
Okay, and I think that's probably in this packet of letters, and I didn't have a chance to actually look at it with great detail. So there were no questioned costs or, adjusted findings.
No, I think there's a blurb in there, and I can't tell you exactly where it's at right now, but they addressed that, they said there was no findings for that,
Okay,
or no issues.
okay. And they did have the schedule of past adjustments.
Yeah.
Which netted to $778. So, it was $7,600 versus $8,400, so it netted to $778. All right.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Now you're up, Mike.
Okay, we'll try to keep this as short as possible, but, all right, so the crews are out there, they've completed basically our paving project for this year. There'll still be a couple little like paver patches here and there to fix some specific bad spots. But as far as that's done, we've done Bankers and North Adams, and so we'll be moving on to some of our other projects, which will be chip seal, and we hope to start that within the next week and a half or so. I'll get into that here in a little bit. As far as ditching, they did the cross tube on Beecher west of Waldron, got a issue with that one fixed, and also the cross tube on Squawfield was fixed. Limestone patching, all the patching is complete for limestone and gravel, and we just have to finish up scraping, which right now we're doing the second half of reading. We had to re-scrape after the rains and stuff. Jefferson, Cambria, Pittsford, Wright, Ransom are all complete. And we're moving on across from there, so we're on that bottom tier of last 3 or 4 townships. The brine, Reading, Cambria, and half of Jefferson are complete. And so they're basically about a township and a half right behind us. Crack seal, we started back up, working on Reading Road at Carpenter Road right now. And we'll continue there. There's a few more. Well, there's plenty of roads that we can use it on, but we'll be just continue on from there. They started putting shoulders on Bankers Road today. We got the shoulder machine finally up and running, and the loader doing good, and so they're doing that today. So we'll be putting shoulders on Bankers. Then we're going to work on I believe Jonesville, North Adams, and move around a couple places after that. But those are the main ones we're trying to get the shoulders put back on. And doing some shoulder work for US 12. That's not necessarily with the shoulder machine, but with, putting the gravel and using a grader and doing the shoulders on the state highways. Let's see. Pavement marking with Michigan Pavement Markings. They should be starting next week, so that you'll see them going around doing some of the markings. They're going to do kind of like a round right now and do what they can get done, but the projects that we're working on or still have to work on, they'll hold off and come back in the fall and paint those once they're completed. Territorial Road.
Refresh my memory, when you say pavement marking, what roads are being hit? Just the primary roads?
Well, it's 1/4 of the county plus we have certain roads that get done every year, and all the pavement markings, like the school zone, railroad crossings, all that kind of stuff get done every year. So oh, you're gonna make me lie here.
After the meeting, you can show the
Yeah,
map.
yeah, we got a map that we can show you that what's gonna get done this year.
All right, thank you.
So Territorial Road east of Bird Lake, the culvert there, we've got the survey completed. I guess we just need to tweak a couple things with it, get it sent over to Eagle and Joscabina. And once he gets that, he'll give us the size and everything that we can get the permit going and get the tube ordered. Bacon Road east of Rumsey, that would be over the auto drain. We're still needing a stream bed survey done. Hope to get that done in the next week or two. Once we get that survey, again, it goes to Eagle. They'll give us recommendations and tell us what tube we can order and permit. Neither one of those seem to be, I don't think there's anything significant or outstanding that's gonna cause us issues. It's just gotta go through the process. Hog Creek Bridge, we're still just waiting on, everything's in place. We're waiting on the bridge just to show up. We're anywhere from mid-August if everything goes perfect to mid-September if it doesn't. And then we're also putting out a bid package, I think today or this week, trying to get bids to drive the piles and set the bridge deck when it does get here. So just so you know, we're doing that and a bid for aggregate that are going out now that will be a bid opening next board meeting on the 8th. And just a caveat, I won't be here on that meeting.
Me either.
So it'll be, I'll have Heather and Kevin here to help with that.
This is aggregate,
All of our aggregates, so all the different,
oh, okay, different size stones.
yeah,
and
all the different stone and gravel and,
Is that the one in Allen Township?
Hog Creek is.
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's on Hog Creek Road off of US 12, maybe a half mile off of 12 there. So anyway, as soon as that gets done, we'll get the bidder to be able to drive the piling, and once we know about when it's gonna come, because they give us a little bit of notice on the arrival of the bridge, we'll get our crews out there to dismantle and take out the old bridge and break up we gotta run an excavator with a breaker on it to break up the footers, get all that removed so that when the bridge and everything's here, we can roll into it, and hopefully it shouldn't take that long, because it's a lower bridge than Camden, but it's the same principle.
So, give me a guess. September?
Oh, yes, yeah, it should take 2 weeks to
Alright,
put it in once we get it.
alright.
Let's see, we've started the process to do some of our 2025 federal aid projects, which that first process is submitting a NEPA request, which is to look for environmental or endangered species that are in there. Most of the things, well, all the things that we're looking at are basically overlays. And so really it's not gonna affect a whole lot, but then we gotta come through the hoops to do it. And once we get that, they're looking at doing the bid letting for May of 2025. If everything works out, we'll try to do it a little sooner than that, but that's what it's looking like. That's what it's gonna hit.
So if the bid letting is on 5/5/25, will those projects be completed in 25?
Yes, yes.
These
And
are,
just so you know,
these are bridges.
no, these are gonna be 2-inch hot mix asphalt overlays.
Oh,
With gravel shoulders, and so we're projecting out like a 5-year plan schedule to where we can't fix any one of these roads all at once because there's just too many. So we're breaking it up into and trying to spread the wealth a little bit. There's going to be Concord Road, US 12 to Sterling, and I get the 2-inch overlay. Herring Road, M49 to Crump, and Reading Road, Kelly to Long Lake. And so that's what we're And then like the following year, it'll be like the next section for each one of those. And it's gonna take about 5 years to get those, and then we'll move on to others after that. But,
So Herring Road is from where to where?
M49 to Kronk.
And,
Kelly from Reading Road
Reading
from
Road.
Kelly to Long Lake.
okay,
I got a call from Somerset Township Supervisor asking to get an estimate to basically do the same thing we're doing on West Sauk Trail, which is pulverizing and repaving the roads for Harrison and Buell, which are streets in Jerome. Yes, he said he hadn't done a lot of work in Jerome, so he's wanting the township's wanting to do some work in there. It's only like, when you combine both of them, it's like a quarter mile. They're not big roads, they're not long roads. So basically, we gave them a ballpark estimate just to see if they're interested. It's gonna be in the 250,000 ballpark. Sounded like they were okay with it, and so he's gonna give me a call back, and at that point, we'll actually put out a bid to see what we can get.
And that'll be next year.
That'll be next year.
Not out of our
Yes.
budget this year.
No. And that would be, when it falls under our cost share policy, that'd be a 60-40 split with the township.
so we're 40%?
We're 40%, township 60 of that 250. West Sauk Trail started this morning, so they're pulverizing that right now as we speak.
I told them the first.
And we'll go from there. So we'll see how that goes. They're laying gravel down. The pulverizer's coming right behind them, and they'll continue on. And they are projecting to be, at the worst case scenario, out of there by the 10th. So
Yeah, that's what you told
I
me
think they'll
before.
probably be, as long as everything goes good with weather and stuff, they'll be out there earlier. But that's kind of their.
We are supposed to get some rain.
They wanted to lay the gravel yesterday, the day before, but then we were expecting rain. We're like, no, we're not laying gravel on top of that road and then having the cars drive through it.
Over is the gravel ready?
Everything will get, yes, that's to add to the mix.
That's
And everything get pulverized together, compacted back down as a good base, and then they'll pave over top of it. So anyway, that's started today.
Oh, good.
We've been out, doing the Pacer ratings. We've completed 318 miles of the non-federal aid roads. We still have roughly 16, 17 miles left to do, so that's about 6% of the roads, and then we'll have all the non-federal aid roads rated. We rated half of the federal aid system a month or so ago, I think I told you. And yesterday and today, they're actually out with Region 2 rating the other half of the federal aid road system that's the half that has to get reported for this year. So basically, when they're done with that 6% and done with the Pacer ratings today, we'll have the entire federal aid road system done. We'll have the entire non-federal aid road system done. And we're still probably later this year, maybe even into the fall, we're gonna rate the gravel roads. That'll be 100% of the roads this year rated, and that will give us some good information for our meetings and planning. And that'll make Tampa City very happy. Let's see. We got some summer help that's, Heather's been having them do traffic counters, and so they've been putting out traffic counts to get some information on the roads. They basically have 4 radar traffic counters that we can use, so we don't get a lot at any given time, but they're putting those 4 out twice a week, and so we're collecting that information. And we'll put that into Tampa City also. Right now they've completed Concord Road, and they'll move on to those other roads right off the bat that are like the ones I just said about the 25. So we have good information on those for the upcoming year. And let's see. I think you had some questions last meeting on the dust control.
Yes.
So just a few, I guess, tidbits, and hopefully if you got questions, just So the main tankers that run dust control are 9,000 gallon tankers. And so that's intended to do 3 miles worth of road. And so what they do is they go out and spray 3 miles of road. That's a speed regulated, speed / RPM regulated pump that the driver, each particular truck's a little bit different, but they set that to where they kick on their cruise control at this RPM and they run the road and they know that sprays 3,000 gallons. When they get to the end of the 3 miles, if there's anything left, they turn back around and they head back at a higher rate of speed and a lower volume to try to spray that back out on those 3 miles. The actual spray apparatuses could be a little bit different. Most of them have what we call a duck bill or a plate where that speed regulated pump with the RPM sprays the brine on that plate, and then it like fans it out over the road as they drive down the center of the road. Those are normally intended to spray at a 20-foot pattern. If it happens to be a 22-foot road, then it's like it's just allowed to, ease its way over there if it does. So there's a 3-inch pipe going to that plate, and then it sprays it like that. I guess at least one of their trucks has like a spray bar with nozzles that instead of spraying it out of the fan, it has like nozzles, kind of like our distributor does. But they are intended to do up to a 20-foot wide spray coverage. And I don't know if that answered the questions you had.
Well, I think the concern is that whatever gravel road this person was on, that it wasn't covering the whole road, so the question is do we not brine the whole road? And what I'm hearing is we do not.
Usually, yes, because most of our gravel roads aren't much wider than 20 foot. So usually it's going to cover the road. If it happens to be a 22 foot, no, there's going to be a little bit on the sides, but it will kind of absorb and run over there.
But they don't want to spray it clear to the shore.
So are we concerned about those 22-foot roads that they're not getting the correct coverage for the people who live on them?
No, they're still getting 3,000 gallons per mile, just like anything else.
Well, I understand they're getting 3,000 blah, blah, blah. However, are they gonna have dust issues for that part of the road that's not getting covered?
That little bit that didn't actually get it, it's gonna work its way over there anyway, but people aren't driving over on that edge anyway.
Okay, so to me, the bottom line is we are getting our full amount of brine on our roads.
Yes.
And our wider roads are not gonna get covered
Maybe
shoulder
as
to
wide,
shoulder.
but yeah.
That amount of road is very few.
Yes, there's not that many of our roads that, most of them are narrower than that. They gotta be probably careful not to like be spraying it out into the weeds.
Pittsburgh Township was just sprayed, and that's probably one of the best jobs I've seen in the last 5 years.
They kept up with us pretty good this year. They're about, like I said, a township to a township and a half, depending on our grading, behind us, but, so they're getting a brine before anything starts to chuck all up or.
How wide is Church Road?
The gravel portion.
Which part?
The gravel portion.
Gravel portion.
From Walburn Road to Jerome Road.
I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head.
It does.
It does.
There's some places one way.
Well, I've heard comments that they turned it into a thoroughfare down there because they widened it out for the farmers.
It did?
That was a comment I've had from somebody who has lived on that road for many years. And again, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Church Road, I am bringing to you what the comment that was made.
I go down it
I don't
frequently.
know whether like it or
I know
not.
they fixed some of the water drainage, so they had to widen it, so the
Water would get off.
Actually,
So ideally, like when we're doing like Sterling Road, Genesee Road, all these project D-berm roads, they should be 22 foot with ditching
Right.
to go with it.
Right.
So, and that's what, when we go to rate the roads, that's gonna tell us. And that's what the ratings for gravel roads are about. They're not about, are there chuck holes, because you can always grade a gravel road and smooth them out. It's how wide is the road, what's the drainage, what's the back slopes. That's
Okay.
how you rate a gravel road, and so it'll tell us. And the ideal is you should have 4 tire tracks in a gravel road. Then that tells you 2 vehicles can pass each other. If there's 3, it's too narrow, because everybody's using the same, some of them have 2. So,
Right.
but I would have to go out there and look at church to see what it is, but intentionally, they should be at least 22 foot. That would be an ideal road.
Would they be over 22 foot?
Maybe with the
I'm
weight.
thinking,
Now-
they took the berm off that one
Now,
mile.
the driven portion of the road, no. But if it's like the driven portion has a 4% crown and then there's another 2% to get into the ditch, it may look like it's a wide road, but the actual portion that you should be driving on is only.
Okay.
Let's see. Last, we went around and we had the representative from Asphalt Materials come yesterday. We took him around to the chip seals that got done last year, and basically his comment when he walked in the building was like, I saw your parking lot, I know what you got. And so we took him around and he admitted that he feels there was an issue with the emulsion, and so he's going back to his bosses at Asphalt Materials to say we need to supply all the emulsion that got used last year to redo the roads free of charge.
Cool.
Now, that being said, that's just the salesman's
Right.
Right.
comment. I'm actually meeting with him and his boss tomorrow, and so we're gonna try to haggle that out. But what it came down to is he feels I don't wanna get too technical or another, but the asphalt emulsion that was supplied didn't have the proper hardening agents in it. And so it really hasn't hardened to this day. If it gets very warm out there and you can even turn your foot, let alone a vehicle, and it's soft again, and it lets things go and lets the stone go out of it. So he acknowledges that, and he says, and actually he gave me a comparability test, I guess, that I got here that he already did for that same stone that we used last year, the 3x4 out of Stone Co. And it kind of shows that, yes, the emulsion they sent us, it's called HFRS2, isn't the best compatibility with the stone compared to the CRS2. And so that's what I'm looking at, and he's looking at, instead of using that HFRS2, which is I don't want to get too in depth again, that's a anionic negative charge material. The CRS2 is a cationic positive charge material. That's how they attach themselves to the stone. So he says according to this, even shows that the CRS2 coats better and sticks better to the stone. It costs more, and that's probably why it's never been used here. And then also adding a polymer, which would be an M for modified, costs a little bit more, but that's going to be our recommendation to them, is that they supply the CRS2M for everything, the 32-point-something miles that we did last year. That even the ones we said we think these roads looked okay, he's like, no, they also failed. And so I don't think, like I said, don't quote me on it, but I don't think we'll have an issue with getting that material.
They've been good to us.
They have. Anytime they've made a mistake, anytime I've worked with them, and I don't want to even call it a mistake. If it seems like that material didn't work out or something, they've always made it right.
What's the name of the company again?
Asphalt Materials.
Asphalt Materials. Where are they out of?
Their main thing is Indianapolis, but they're in, a lot of it's in Ohio. The sales reps from like Columbus.
They're the one that cook our dinner for us.
Yes, they do quite often.
Do our
Yep.
Christmas dinner.
I thought Stone Coat did.
Stone Coat is,
Stone Coat's one of them.
but isn't Stone Coat Asphalt?
No,
That's Michigan
Not
Paving.
Michigan Paving.
Asphalt
Well,
Materials has done it too.
At the Christmas dinner, Stone Coat was definitely
Yes,
highlighted.
but our safety day, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they came
Okay,
in.
they do.
So.
They've
They're
done that for years.
good. They're a good company.
They work with us.
We had this happen
2 years
5
ago.
years ago,
Yeah.
6 years ago, when Bucky was there, and
Yeah.
they furnished it all.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Well, Bucky's now
Gone.
retired,
Yep.
he moved on, and so this is Bruce Weir. He's been with the company for ages too. I've dealt with him just as long as I've dealt with Bucky. And he was very upfront and honest and said, yep, we'll see what we can do to make it right.
They've always
So-
been good.
Question, if we did 32 miles of chip seal last year, we're gonna redo 32 miles this year, are we gonna do any additional mileage this year?
Some, but not as much as we would have planned. So we're probably gonna be up in the 50 ballpark is what we're trying to, because we're gonna do Bankers Road. Of course, Bacon was one of them we were planning, because we knew Bacon would just,
Right.
you know. So yes, we're gonna go from that 32.6 or whatever it is, and it's gonna be about 50, I think, total.
We got Bankers and North Adams.
Yes, and we're gonna do North Adams, because that just got the paver patch and the paves stuff too, so.
So when we do a chip seal, how much costs are we putting into it that we're duplicating from last year?
It'll be labor and equipment, so we're not,
But not
the stone, we've actually got, what we're gonna use this year, we've had sitting there for a few years, it's just been, so we already have the stone, it's already paid for, and then we'll
I
charge it
thought we were
out.
gonna use a different stone.
Well, we've got two different style stones. We've got the stone that we've had for a few years that I guess we've used in the past.
Quite a few.
We're gonna get that used up. It's all basically the same stuff, it's just minor differences. And if we run out, then we're gonna go back to the 3/8 by 4 from Stone Cove that we did last year, which is what this is based on. He also took a sample of the stone with him yesterday, so they can make sure it's the same thing, that it's compatible with the CRS.
So you're telling me we had stone in inventory that was a better stone than what we used on the
No,
chip seal?
I'm not gonna say better stone. Again, there's a lot of things that go into chip seal, but the stone that's here, and I think that's been used for ages, in my opinion, is different, it's got different size aggregates, which isn't ideal for chip seal. You want as close as possible the same, so when those rollers go across, it seats it in the emulsion, and the emulsion can do the same thing on every stone. If you got big stone, little stones, some are gonna get totally covered, some aren't. And so that's why last year I went to
Okay,
the 3/8 by 4, because that's a more consistent
uniform.
size, yes.
Yeah.
Being that this is gonna be there's already stone on, what's left on the roads from the last year. We're gonna use this, and it's not bad stone, it's just maybe not as ideal.
Okay, so we're redoing these roads, are we gonna put as much emulsion and stone on this year as we put on last year? Or are we putting on less because it was just done last year?
No, roughly it'll be the same. Because one, you gotta fill the voids of the stones that are still there,
Okay.
and still have enough to encapsulate the new stone.
Adhere it to the, now, here's a question.
Well, wait a minute, can I finish my question? Are we gonna do the spray overlay when it's all done again? The
Fog seal, yes.
Yes, fog seal, so we're still gonna do that, and that comes out of our pocket, that comes out of
Nope,
theirs?
I'm working with them that they'll supply the fog too.
Okay, alright,
Because we already sprayed the fog, it
Right.
didn't work, so
Right.
yes,
okay,
Is the emulsion that didn't work, that's already down, gonna interfere with the emulsion that we're putting on?
it's not intended to, but to be honest with you, I don't know personally.
Okay, that thought came to mind.
And so, yes, because you're still gonna have, it will encapsulate, it will coat it and stop it. And the intent is that new chip will choke out the old chip, and then we'll seat that one and fog seal it.
I guess we'll find
I
out.
don't know, and that's one of the discussions we're having with him too, but, so he's gonna be here not only to go over and do like another training with the guys, with the crew that are running the equipment
Chip seal.
prior to do the training, we did it last year too. So he's gonna go and re-hit all that kind of stuff. They're in the middle of calibrating both the chip spreader and the distributor. I don't think the chip spreader was calibrated last year, because the computer system wasn't working right. And then he's gonna be here on site when we start doing it to make sure everything
Okay.
goes. He won't be here the entire time, but
No,
just to get
no, but
everything rolling.
To get them started.
So, will it be the ideal and perfect fix? I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
We hope.
But it's better than
Yeah, try
where we're
something.
at right now.
Yeah, try something.
Yeah, right now, it's kind of slippery.
It's
we're
not
going
slippery,
too
but-
fast.
So anyway, that's what I'm working with them, and I should know tomorrow, or at least get a reasonable answer from his boss, as to what they're willing to do or what they're thinking about doing, so.
We meeting with them tomorrow?
I'm calling it a meeting.
Oh.
There's a golf outing down in,
Oh, I knew there was a catch.
No.
but it's asphalt materials golf outing for one of their guys that passed away from cancer.
Oh.
It's a memorial thing they've had for quite a few years.
Like a shotgun.
And I was already going to it, and it just happens that when Bruce came, I'm like, well, you gonna be there on Friday? And he's like, yeah. He said, so am my boss. I said, we'll talk. So I'm calling that a meeting.
So are you a foursome then, so you can talk the whole
Yes.
9 holes, or how many holes?
No, I'm not playing with their,
Oh. That'd be
Their
an
team.
ideal time to talk it in depth.
but there will be plenty of time to discuss it with the two of them and anybody else that needs to be there, because almost all, if not all, of Asphalt Materials and Heritage Group is their all-encompassing company will be there. So,
Yeah.
and I believe that's about all I got.
Well, that was quite a.
Any more questions for Rob?
Question, given what our cash treasurer's report is telling me is that our cash balance is declining. I'm not sure where we're projected to be by the end of the year. So when we go into 2024, do we need to adjust our township contracts, and can we afford to continue with the match program that we've been doing?
Well, I'm working on that every 25.
Yes, excuse me, 2025, yes, sorry.
I'm working on that. One, to get you a amended budget, and then a draft budget for 25, and suggestions on the match and cost share.
Okay.
Because there is some, if nothing else, there's some things that need to be clarified and cleaned up in that, but I think with the cost of things, we're gonna have to do something to adjust.
I guess my concern is are we taking care of our primary roads enough, or are we diverting so much money into helping the townships that we're not taking care of our primary
We've
roads?
had that question.
Well, that is part of what the audit brings up and asks. And last year, I'd say yes, we did a lot for townships last year. This year, we're doing quite a bit still, but some of that, well, all of it so far has been left over from last year we didn't get done.
Right.
We are doing more work on primaries this year than we even thought of doing last year.
We took 1 year where we just worked on primaries.
Yeah.
We just told them we couldn't help them anymore.
And that's one of the things I'll bring you, and I'll probably ask you to do that next year. And not accept any more projects. I mean, we still need to do like gravel road patching and, you know,
The brining.
paver patching,
Right.
brining,
Right.
the maintenance, more style stuff. But we're more, one, finishing up all those projects hanging out there for the townships, but key more on the township, or the primary.
Right. So my
For
other,
25.
again, in the thought of what we're gonna do for 2025, my thought is the townships that are more affluent can do road projects, so our money goes to those townships. Is there a way that we can help the less affluent townships who can't afford? And I mean, that leads to a 2-tier cost share system, which I don't know that we can do.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. But we're still tied to the match. So we still have to have a 50% match.
Yeah.
So even those townships that can afford it have to come up with that match somehow.
That's Act 51.
Right.
Now-
Well, again, I would hate to see a lot of money spent in Somerset Township because they have money. And so all of our resources are going to Somerset Township at the expense of the other 17 townships. I think we need to be aware of
That's
that
kind of
and
the
not allow that to happen.
That's kind of the same thing that's happened a little bit with Litchfield and Sterling Road. We've spent a lot of time and effort on that
Yeah.
road.
Right.
Yes, we gotta, but it's very hard to, like you say, you can't do like a 2-tier.
Well, you can't,
type thing,
but I think we need to be aware of what's going on
Yeah.
and try to manage that situation. Because again, I would hate to keep on paving roads in Somerset Township. And yet, roads that are used in other townships that are paved aren't getting paid because township doesn't have the money to do cost share.
But if they don't have money to do cost share, they can't do it anyway.
Right.
Well, again, we don't have to take on all of those paving projects if we don't, because we could put our money towards the primary roads